Today, we're talking about the Galaxy Z Flip 7, the latest generation Samsung device that brought this capability back to smartphones. Now, the big questions this year are A, what exactly has Samsung improved this time around? And B, is the new model really worth upgrading to? I'm Jason, this is JSL Review. I've been using the Z Flip 7 for about a week now, so let's talk about it. But before we jump into the review, a real quick plug for the JSL newsletter. I send subscribers out a brand new full-res wallpaper every single week, as well as links to really good tech deals and fun articles written by yours truly. It's totally free. The link to subscribe will be in the description down below. Okay, first, let's talk about design and build quality. Samsung made some noticeable improvements here that have already impacted my one-week experience with the Flip 7 in a positive way. The company has been in the foldable game for a while now, definitely not its first rodeo, and the Z Flip 7 shows just how far the company has come in refining the experience. At first glance, it may not look drastically different from last year's model, as it retains the design blueprint used by many of its predecessors, but there are some important upgrades both under the hood and on the outside as well. This year, the hinge has been redesigned to be thinner, and Samsung claims that it's even more durable than before. The phone itself is a bit wider and taller, but it's slightly thinner than before, making it feel sleeker and more comfortable in the hand. 1 week later, I will say that the thinner body does make the Flip 7 more comfortable to carry around in the pocket. It's great having a phone that folds up if you're throwing it into a bag or something, but it can feel bulky if you're putting it into a pant pocket, so any reduction in its width is definitely a win. The Flip 7 features an aluminum frame that is protected by Gorilla Glass Victus on both the back and the cover screen, and in terms of durability, the phone maintains the same IP48 rating for resistance against dust and water, which is always reassuring. But by far one of the most standout improvements here is with the phone's displays, primarily around the sizes. The main foldable display has grown from 6.7 inches to 6.9 inches, which is more aligned to modern flagship specifications. It has a 1080p HD resolution, a buttery smooth 120Hz refresh rate, and LTPO technology that allows the refresh rate to dynamically adjust for better battery life. The screen is sharp, vibrant, and supports HDR10+, making it great for watching videos, playing games, or the mindless doom scroll. Now yes, there's still a crease where the screen folds, and it is visible if you actively look for it. However, it feels much less pronounced than before, and most users will quickly get used to it. 1 week later, the larger screen and the fact that it's an OLED with a very thin bezel has been absolutely wonderful to use, to the point where you almost forget that it's a folding phone because it's so well executed. But the real major improvement to the displays is with the cover screen. It's seen a significant improvement. It now takes up the entirety of the panel, no more awkward gaps as it completely covers the camera cutouts, making for a noticeably cleaner look. The display comes in at 4.1 inches diagonally, up from 3.4 inches in the previous model, and it also features a higher resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate, which makes scrolling and animations feel buttery smooth. Aesthetically, this makes the Galaxy Z Flip look a lot better, and the improved specs are definitely welcome, but the functionality, in my opinion, is still a bit limited. Instead of behaving like a traditional smartphone home screen, it relies on a widget-based interface. You can access notifications, control music, and use Samsung's Gemini AI assistant, but full app support is still limited. I'm hoping that in future iterations, Samsung will provide more latitude to how this screen could be used now that it finally looks the part. Now, when it comes to biometrics, the Z Flip 7 still retains Samsung's embedded power button fingerprint reader, so no addition of an in-display reader or something like that. I don't really mind because I actually find this system to be faster and easier to use, and it's quick and easy to set up. Now, when it comes to changes underneath the hood, one of the more exciting aspects of the Z Flip 7 is that it's the first phone in the Flip series to ship with Samsung's new One UI 8, which is based on Android 16. While the interface looks largely the same as before, there are some new features baked into the software. One of the most notable additions is support for Samsung DeX, which allows you to connect the phone to an external monitor and use it like a desktop computer. The Z Flip 7 also benefits from Samsung's full suite of AI features, including Gemini Live. This tool lets you use natural voice commands and your camera to ask context-aware questions. I've been a big fan of Gemini. I feel as though it's the most promising AI platform on a smartphone right now, and this is genuinely a useful and futuristic feature. Moreover, Samsung has also promised 7 years of major Android updates and 7 years of security patches, which is among the best support policies in the industry. Now, all of this is great. There's been a lot of improvements here, no doubt, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the big elephant in the room here when we're talking about what's underneath the hood of the Galaxy Z Flip 7. This phone marks a shift Samsung made by using their own Exynos 2500 chipset instead of a Snapdragon processor. For reference, the Galaxy S25 series in the US, as well as the Galaxy Z Fold 7, are equipped with the blazing fast Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, one of the fastest mobile chips in the game right now. So at the very least, it's kind of sus that Samsung made the decision not to go with the same mobile processor that's on their other flagship devices, especially one as expensive as this one. Now, during my 1 week of use, to me, the Exynos chip performs great. I haven't experienced any noticeable performance setbacks in my day-to-day use. I'm not the biggest power user, but playing the occasional spec-intensive game has been fine, and though we're gonna have to wait and see how the chip holds up over time with software updates and new features, I would argue that the average user will not notice any major performance issues in real-world usage. Now, when it comes to battery performance, it does get an upgrade this year. It now has a capacity of 4,300 mAh, up from 4,000 last year. During my 1 week with the phone, I was getting close to around 7 hours of screen on time, which I would say is above average. Nothing spectacular, but it's great that I'm able to get through a full day of moderate use without having to worry about charging in the middle of the day, all with the benefits of having a slightly slimmer design. Now, when it comes to the cameras on the Galaxy Z Flip 7, we didn't get the upgrade that all of us wanted if we're being straight up about it. While the new Z Fold 7 got the upgrade to the 200 megapixel main sensor that's on the S25 Ultra, the Z Flip 7 sticks with the same setup as last year. It includes a 50 megapixel main camera and a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera. Disappointing, yes, but overall these cameras still perform great. The images come out sharp and saturated and more natural than before. Dynamic range is solid, and although Samsung is known to doll up their images a bit when people are in them, it's not as egregious as before. Low light photos using the main camera are generally solid, but a little grainy with dark shadows. When it comes to selfies taken with the internal 10 megapixel camera are decent. They offer good detail, although contrast and saturation could be a little bit better. If you want much higher quality, you can use the main camera for selfies by using the cover screen as a viewfinder, as this method gives you sharper images with better background separation. When it comes to video recording, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 can shoot 4K video at up to 60 frames per second with all of its cameras. Another noteworthy absence is the ability to shoot video in 8K like the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra, but overall the 4K footage coming out of the Flip 7 is a solid good. The video is vibrant and sharp enough, though it can come off a bit too digital at times, especially when you have a lot in the frame. Overall, the cameras on this phone perform above average in each respective department. It is slightly disappointing, however, that we know Samsung could have made them better, but looks as though they chose not to. So at the end of the day, after using the Galaxy Z Flip 7 for about a week, it's clear that it brings some welcome refinements to an already fun and well thought out device. The bigger displays, slightly thinner design, upgraded battery, and premium hardware make it one of the best flip phones on the market right now. However, Samsung's decision to go with the Exynos chip over the Snapdragon and the lack of upgrades to the cameras may not sit well with consumers, especially when the starting price tag for this phone is a pretty expensive $1,099. So in that regard, if you're holding the Z Flip 6, I don't think there's enough here to warrant an upgrade. Even though the front screen does look a lot better, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably wise to wait it out. But if you've been wanting to make the jump over to this form factor and you've been waiting for the right time, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 may be your sign to take the plunge. It's an extremely well put together device that offers a ton for its users, even with its limitations. But hey, that's just me, and I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the Galaxy Z Flip 7? Do you think it's worth it? Or do you think it's a hard pass? Curious to get your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. And in case you guys missed my review on the Galaxy Fold 7, definitely check it out here. You're not going to want to miss it.